Recording in progress. Recording stopped. Recording in progress. Recording stopped. Recording in progress. Recording stopped.
Hi, Coach. We can go
Recording
ahead
in progress.
questions if you're ready.
Yeah, I'm ready. Go ahead, Caleb.
Great. First question will be from Pat.
Happy New Year, Coach. How are you today?
Happy New Year, Pat. I'm doing well. I hope you are also.
Hey, I had a question for you yesterday, but I wanted to give you the courtesy of seeing the film. It was a play late in the fourth quarter when it looked like Josh was trying to lateral the ball, and it was called a fumble on the field. You know which play I'm talking about?
I do, yes. Yeah.
I want to ask you, how do you have a conversation with your quarterback from a head coach in dealing with a play like that, whereas you're not interfering with his competitive edge?
Well, there's a balance. We never want to put the ball in danger, right? Never want to put the ball at risk. It's so important to us, and we've got to continue to do a good job with that. And I thought yesterday we did a fairly decent job with that. We had the one turnover. But we continually talk about those things weekly and for sure daily, to be honest with you. So, it's a balance, as I said before, and you're always trying to find that sweet spot of calculated risk versus going over the line.
And the other question I had for you, Coach, is how did you come out health-wise from yesterday? And good luck to you on in your preparation against Miami.
Well, I appreciate that. Yeah, I mean, I think we came out fairly healthy. Josh has neck soreness. Other than that, don't have any new updates unless there's someone specific that you guys have a question on.
All right. Thank you, Coach. Good luck to you on this week.
All right. Thank you very much. Appreciate it.
Hey, Sean, Happy New Year. Thanks for taking the time.
Yeah, Happy New Year to you too.
I wanted to ask about Terrell Bernard. Last couple of weeks, you guys have been able to get him free on blitzes, and it's been successful with sacks. How difficult or involved is the process of figuring out what works best, how a guy fits best into a defense, especially at linebacker, where you've got a position that's so varied in responsibility, and now the type and shape and size of the player is also very varied. Understanding how to make that guy function best in your defense.
Well, I think it's like most players, you try and identify their strengths, their skill set, and then you try and use that skill set and build your system around that. So in a player like TB, because he's in the middle of our defense, it's that much more important, right, to make sure we're putting him in position to be successful. And he's done a great job to this point this year.
How difficult has it been this year, maybe considering that this time last year, the two guys you had at linebacker were guys who you were fully versed with Tremaine and Matt. And now this year it's been, I assume some degree of learning process with Terrell and Tyrell having to be the guys in the middle.
Right. So they're new starters. I mean, T-Dot had started a few games prior to this season, and then TB started at will linebacker. One game I believe was against the Jets last season, and so new position, really for the most part for both of them. And I couldn't be more proud of those two. The way that they've taken on the challenge, they've worked together during the week. They communicate well in terms of getting themselves ready to go. And hey, how do you see this? How do you see that? And so their communication, their collaboration is huge for us as a defense.
And then real quick, you said neck soreness for Josh. Is that anything that would impact practice status coming up this week?
Not that I'm aware of. We'll continue to take it one day at a time, though.
Thanks for your time, Sean. Appreciate it.
Sure.
Hey, Coach, over the last 4 games, you guys have just allowed 1 passing touchdown. That's obviously the best in the NFL. What has been working for the defense in the last 4 games that you guys have been playing at a really high level?
Yeah, Maddie, I think it's more than anything. I think it's the rushing coverage working together and the communication that we're developing with the back 7, right? Making sure everyone's on the same page, everyone understands the vision for the game plan and the purpose and the theme that week. And so I credit those guys on the back end, but also the front with their ability to rush the passer.
And then one more question for me. Why will a loud Bills Mafia fan base be really important for this Sunday night football game, an away game that is, but I know Bills Mafia will travel.
They do travel, and we're going to need them to travel. It's going to be a great atmosphere on Sunday night down there in Miami, and we're going to need all the fans we can get down there.
Thanks, Coach.
Thank you, Matt.
Coach, Mookie Arkins, Waffle Sports 1080. Happy New Year.
Happy New Year, Mookie. You've been gone a few weeks, man. Where you been?
I've been preparing my guys. We head down to the Alamo Dome in a couple of days for the All-American Combine.
Awesome. Congrats on that. That's great.
Appreciate it. Always working, Coach. I'm always working, as you as well. Man, let's talk about the work that you've been putting in the past 4 weeks, from 6-6 to 10-6. Now, I guess you got this playing game called the AFC East title matchup. What were you telling your team at that point in time when they were 6-6, now 10-6, to be rightfully playing for, obviously a spot that you guys belong in?
Well, I think it's really just about our players continuing to grow every week. Our coaches have done a phenomenal job of working on things with them, developing players at the individual level and then at the unit level as well. And I really believe that the players have taken on that challenge head on, and they've come together and formed an identity as a football team. And I've just been very impressed by that over the last few weeks in particular.
Absolutely. And, this is New Year. Obviously, with one more game left to go, it'll be a new season for you guys. But experience is always the best teacher, right? In coaching. And this is your first crack at being a head coach anywhere, right? So what new experiences have you dealt with, this year that you learned about this season?
Where do you want to start? Where do you want to start? Every year brings on new challenges. The journey's a little different every season. I think that's what makes our job so special, right? You're learning about yourself. You're learning about other people. In a head coaching role, you're learning, new things as a leader. I think that's part of the journey is just, the fascinating thing about each season really is every season is different. 20 some years in the NFL, every season's been different to some extent and unique in its own right. And I think that's really where you learn, you grow, and that's what makes it exciting also, right? And so it'll be a great environment on Sunday night, and we're looking forward to the challenge.
Absolutely, Coach. Have a great week of practice. Happy New Year.
Hey, Sean. We talked a little bit about it after the game yesterday with Steph Diggs, and I know you and Joe both talked about, it's a week-to-week league. Personnel is going to change week to week, but it just feels like something's been up with Steph, and can't really put your finger on it. Obviously, you said there's no medical issue. The snap percentages come down. Production isn't there. Can you just take me into, what maybe has been ailing him or hindering him from some of the production that I think people are used to seeing from him?
Medically, there's nothing big that's been, to my knowledge, ailing him, and the communication I'm getting from Nate, our trainer, on that. And it's just Josh going through his reads and going through his progressions and making sure that, we're making sure we're going through the progressions properly and getting Steph involved. As to your point, he hasn't been as involved maybe as much as we would have liked the last couple of games. And but we've got to continue to, just like all three phases of our team, in this case, our offenses, continue to develop, continue to improve, and find production through the progression.
Mm-hmm. And then, there's been a couple of times fans specifically have pointed out where he hasn't been out there on some bigger third downs over the last couple of weeks. You've been with him a while now. Like, when he is out there in those gotta have it moments, especially late in games, what does he bring in those moments? Oh,
he's a factor. He's a big factor for us. He brings so much energy and vibe to our team, to our offense. Let's just start there, and then collectively to our team. So he's a valued member of our team, in particular our offense, and we're going to need him down the stretch here.
Mm-hmm. At running back, you've had Ty Johnson now, who comes back. Seems to have provided some juice, look really good. late in the game there. His usage kind of went up as the game went along. How do you balance that with a guy that seemed to be coming on and earning more of a role versus a guy like Latavius, who obviously has been there all year? You trust him, and kind of managing that if there even is something going on there where Ty might be kind of earning more time.
Well, when you have three running backs, that's a tough juggling act, if you will, right? In terms of making sure each one of them are in for the proportion of the plays in the game that you want them to be in for, and for the roles that you want them to carry specifically that game. And so I think Coach Skipper does a good job with that. Ty, to your point, has been running the ball well. He missed it 1 week with the shoulder injury, but came back this week and played well. And so it's that delicate balance, if you will, of finding that sweet spot every week with all three of those guys.
Thanks, Sean. Happy New Year.
All right, you too. Thank you.
Hey, Sean. I was curious, now that you've rewatched the game, just kind of what you made of the offensive line yesterday. You know, they had talked about how it's such a challenge playing the Patriots going into a game like that. So just what did you make of that unit and how they did?
Yeah, I thought they really responded after the first couple of series there. First couple of series a little shaky. Josh got affected a little bit there. But they stayed resilient. Coach Cromer, Coach Gunn made the adjustments they needed to make. And I thought they really played well, in particular down the stretch where, we had that game-winning drive, or at least game-sealing drive there in that 4-minute offense.
And then it's been a while since you guys have faced the Dolphins. Just where do you feel they've evolved the most? I know they've got a bunch of injuries, but just kind of what stands out about what the team is like getting ready for them this week at this point?
Yeah, I mean, listen, I think everyone's got injuries this time of year, right? That's the NFL, and so it's going to be a big challenge. They're well coached. They have dynamic offensive players, dynamic defensive players, and special teams, and they do a great job with the explosive plays on offense and then creating big time negative plays on defense. And like I said, this is going to be a big challenge for us.
And then one more. I know we've talked a lot about Rasul and kind of what he's done as he's gotten to know this defense more and more. I was curious, from just kind of working with the rest of that room, how have you seen him now that he's gotten more of a grasp, work with other guys on the team to kind of, help each other out in that sense too?
Well, like I mentioned earlier, Catherine, when you play defense, if you want to be a good defense, you got to be able to communicate well and have everybody on the same page. And I think when you bring in a new player, sometimes that's a challenge, in particular when that new player is playing right away, because he doesn't obviously have the experience level that you'd like them to have, say, coming out of training camp, having the full off season. So, I credit the players, the coaches, and Rasul himself in terms of getting himself up to speed as quickly as he has and being able to produce like he has.
Thanks. Happy New Year.
Sure. Thanks, you too.
Hey, Coach, one more from me. I know Marv Levy was in the building this weekend and you got a chance to catch up with him. What was it like to see him and be able to talk to him for a little while?
Yeah, what a treat that was, Maddie. What a treat. I was able to come over here Saturday afternoon and see Coach and meet the rest of his family for the first time. Excuse me. And it's just always so special to be around Coach, and he's got an aura about him, right? And just the way he's lived his life, the way he obviously led this football team, this organization for a number of years. So just the utmost respect and appreciation. And I just can't be more in awe of what he was able to do. And now at 98 years old, just amazing to see him getting around like he is. And it was pretty special when Lorenzo was doing the legend of the game and called up the coach there, and the camera panned and you saw Coach and his family. And that was pretty cool moment for all of us, I know.
Yeah, I think you got dusty for a lot of fans during that moment. Thanks, Coach.
Yeah.
Hey, Sean, I was curious, Daquan played a lot yesterday in his first game back. Just how did you feel like, looking back at the tape, how he performed and the amount he was able to play coming off that injury?
Well, yeah, I mean, when you miss 10 weeks, that's hard to get out there and have your sea legs, as I mentioned yesterday. And I thought he did a good job. It was a good first step in the right direction. And now it's about taking another key step this week and, just getting him continue to knock the rust off, polish up the fundamentals, polish up the technique, and do his 111th really.
And then I'm curious with the decision not to have Vaughn active yesterday. I know you talked about it yesterday after the game, but for this week, are you kind of viewing that as going to see how practice goes? Like, does that extend going into this week, kind of evaluating it differently? Like, I guess, how do you view that Vaughn going into this week?
We like we do every week, Elena, we take it 1 week at a time basis, and we evaluate every week and decide who's active from there. So we remain fully confident in Vaughn, and we look forward to a great week of practice here.
And last one for me, I was just curious with playing the Dolphins all the way back in week 4 and so much has changed, talked about injuries and all that. How much can you, like, I know AFC East opponent you're obviously very familiar with, but like how much can you take from that first go round versus kind of how much has evolved? So many games have been played since then. And obviously this year Bills are different as well. How much can you kind of take from that game in your game planning versus like kind of wanting to look at the body of work they've done since then?
Yeah, I mean, I think you can take a certain amount, but then there's a certain amount you can't, right? So it's probably split down the middle, really. I mean, we have some new players that didn't play in that first game, and and so I just think it's you learn a little bit from it, and then this game will take on its own identity and make it.
Thanks, Sean.
Sure.
Sean, I wanted to circle back regarding Stephon Diggs, and as Matt Perino had pointed out, the snap counts are down too. You mentioned Josh with the progressions, but I'm more curious about the plays where he's not even on the field. Why is he down to 65% of the snaps recently?
Well, I think some plays are obviously tagged for other personnel groups, and some just Steph is needs a break right there, and so it's a probably a combination of both of them more than anything.
That's all the questions for today. Thanks, Coach.
Okay, thanks, guys.